Today on the show, we're going to talk about my top 5 favorite things from Season 3 of Game of Thrones.
Well, what counts as a thing?
Anything that I wanted to.
Thing number 1. Go.
Dany's badassery in Astapor is by far and away one of my favorite things in Season 3 of Game of Thrones. Arguably my favoritist thing. So as you know, Dany travels to Astapor, the slave city in the Slaver's Bay area. And she goes to check in on these Unsullied, which are these eunuch slave soldiers that are trained from like birth, and they're like super gnarly, they can't feel pain. And she's like really struggling with like the whole slave thing. She's like, I don't know, I think slaves, that kind of sucks, you know, I'm from Westeros, I'm not into that. And then, you know, Jorah's like, well, you don't really have a choice, like what the fuck, you need an army. So she starts dickering with this fucking guy, Maester Cressen, who is very rude to her and is constantly berating her in High Valyrian, and he doesn't know that she knows what the fuck he's saying. What a dick. And that's what you get, people who do that, who speak other languages and say mean things to people while they're standing there. Yeah, and Cressen is a total dickbag. He is the opposite of who you want to talk to about buying anything, ever.
Worst used car salesman ever.
So Dany makes a deal with Cressen, and she says, I'll give you one of my dragons if you give me your army. And he's like, ooh, okay, all right. So then Dany shows up. She's got Drogon on a little chain for him, and she gives him the little chain, and he gives her the whip. And if you have the whip, that means that you're the owner of the Unsullied. So she goes up to the Unsullied, and she's like, check it out, I'm your owner. And they're like, okay, we see. And then she starts speaking High Valyrian, and then Maester Cressen's like, what? Bitch knew what I was saying the whole time. And then he's like, Drogon's giving him troubles. And then, and then she double crosses the fuck out of that asshole.
Dracarys.
And fucking burns him to a crisp with her dragon, gets her dragon back, and kills all the slave masters in Astapor and frees all the slaves. And then, it was awesome. And she takes her Unsullied and she marches out of that bitch, and it was fantastic. Cressen does not understand that dragons are not slaves. That's a fucking dragon. Like, what does he think he's gonna do with it? Like, Jesus Christ, like, what a dummy. What a dummy. His eyes were bigger than his stomach on that one. And watching it just was beautiful. It was so nice. Because we've all been fucked around by weird people. You know, I was in a car accident, and I took my car to the wrong shop, and there's all these terrible people, and I felt like they were Maester Cressen and I was Dany, but I didn't have a dragon to burn them to death with, and I wish that I had, because I would have. Because they were fuckers.
Great!
Number 2 best favoritist thing.
Man, the Lannister family drama this season has really kicked into high gear. There's a lot more family drama than there is in the books, which I like. I think it's a really great addition to the show. There's so many good scenes. I mean, that scene where Tywin confronts Joffrey, who's on the throne, you know, and he's like, why aren't I being counseled? And Tywin's like,
you are being counseled at this very moment.
oh, just seeing Tywin handle Joffrey, we've all been waiting for it, and it finally happened, and it was beautiful. It was fantastic. It's really interesting because in the books, you never really see Tywin interact with Joffrey, and you haven't seen it in the show thus far, and it was just great to see Tywin deal with that little guy. Just, like, he's not a he's the only person, I think, in that whole entire kingdom that can deal with that little fucker.
I like the part where he put him to bed.
The king is tired. See him to his chambers.
Come along. I'm not tired.
Grand Maester, perhaps some essence of nightshade to help him sleep.
I'm not tired!
The part where he friggin' put him to bed without a supper? Oh, that was good. That was really good. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic. Yeah. Tywin is totally a badass. He's a terrible father, but he is an awesome badass. I will say that.
You see, you will wed her, bed her, and put a child in her. Surely you're capable of that.
I also love the scene where Tyrion comes in and he's having this meeting with his dad and Cersei. And Cersei's over there, like, looking like the cat that got the cream.
You should be thanking the gods for this. This is more than you deserve.
Like, oh, fuck you, you're gonna marry Sansa. And then Tywin turns to her and is like, you're gonna marry Loras. It's like, you're gonna marry a gay dude. Like, how embarrassing. Like, she fucking has to marry Robert, who turns into some big stinking drunk whoremonger, which is so fucking embarrassing. And then now she's supposed to marry a gay dude and have children with him, so she's gonna have the most awkward sex of her life. Oh my god, what a bummer. Loras doesn't want to do it either. Can you imagine trying to have sex with a gay dude? And you gotta do it more than once to get conceived, you know? But that was great. And I really did appreciate later on, and this also isn't in the books, where Tyrion and Cersei are having a moment later where even though they fucking hate each other, you know, their hatred for their dad unites them. You know, no matter how badly they hate one another, they still like are just like, fuck, we just got fucked by dad, you know? And that was a really great scene. So yeah, Lannister family drama has been off the chain this season.
Marvelous!
Number 3.
As I've stated before, Jaime Lannister and Brienne of Tarth are one of my favorite odd couples, and this season I was so delighted with them. They had so many good scenes together, especially Jaime. And I think that a lot of people who started watching the show were like, Jaime Lannister's a dick. And then after watching this season, they're like, he's not such a dick.
How many lives have you saved?
500,000. The population of King's Landing.
And I really love that this show is able to do that, is able to take a bad guy and turn him into a morally ambiguous guy where you're like, he's still kind of a dick, but I can't blame him for what he's done.
Your daddy ain't here. Never forget that. Yeah, this should help you remember.
I loved the scene where Jaime got his hand cut off. I'm sure a lot of people were like, what the fuck? Like, it was so good. It's too bad that the moment was ruined by a terrible song that immediately came on afterwards.
There was a bear there, all black and brown and covered.
Jaime's scene in the bathtub with Brienne was fucking amazing, where he's telling her about how he saved all these people in King's Landing and how why he did what he did, and how he's just like fucking never like talked to anyone about it, and like she realizes that he does have honor.
Why didn't you tell anyone? Why didn't you tell Lord Stark?
Stark? You think the Honorable Ned Stark wanted to hear my side?
Oh, even this really stubborn bitch is like, man, I just can't hate on you anymore. You're really not that bad of a person. And I loved it. It was fantastic. I love Jaime Lannister. He's one of my favorite characters, and he's so complex and complicated. And I feel like he has one of the best story arcs of any character in the books. Like, I just really enjoy watching him grow. Oh God, and the scene too where he's sitting there, he's not eating his shit, you know, he's not eating his dinner. And Brienne's like, you need to eat something, you know, and he's like, why? I just want to die now. I don't have my hand, you know, and she's like, you're acting like a woman, you know, it shames him into like eating and like bucking the fuck up, you know. She's like, one taste of fucking misfortune and you fucking lay down. It was great. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. More, please. Jaime losing his hand is pivotal in him finding himself, because he's got to completely relearn everything, find out who he is, because he was his sword hand. He even says it in the show. He's like, that I was that hand, and now that it's gone, he's got to figure out what he is now, and it's man, so good.
Perfect.
Number 4. Go.
Oh yeah!
as you know, the whole season was kind of leading up to the Red Wedding. It was so fucked up. I was, obviously I knew it was coming, although Robot did not know that it was coming, and it was really hard for me to keep him from finding it out, because if you go on the internet at all, you're screwed, but I did it. He didn't know it was coming. Somehow I did it. He didn't know it was coming, and it was a delight to watch his shock and awe at the Red Wedding. It was more fun watching Robot than it was watching the actual scene, I will say that. But the scene was really good too. Yeah, the Red Wedding was definitely one of the most shocking moments on television. I'm sure it will definitely go down in the annals of shocking television moments. The one thing, though, that I will say that they had in the book, they didn't have the show, was that in the book, they really explain the eating the bread and the salt. They show it in the show where they get there to the Frey's place, and the Freys give them salt and bread, and they all eat it, and da-da-da-da. But in the books, they really go into how that is an ancient custom. Ancient. Like, they don't even know when it started. It's a big thing. So if you eat bread and salt under someone's roof, that means that you're cool and that they cannot kill you unless they want to offend the motherfucking gods, okay? And they kind of had Bran talk about it later and let you know that that was a big deal. But the Freys, like, from now on, like, people are going to look at the Freys differently, and they're not going to trust them. No one's going to trust the Freys anymore. Once you fucking kill people like that, like, it's not good. One of my favorite things about the Red Wedding isn't the actual scene, it's everything that leads up to it. Because if you're paying attention and you know that it's coming, you'll see several scenes where they kind of allude to it, you know it's coming, and it's really deftly done. There's a scene where Cersei comes to Tywin, and she's like, "What are you doing about Jaime?" And he's like,
Whatever I can.
"Whatever I can." Stamp, like he's sending those letters off to fucking get this whole thing going. And then later on, when Bolton and Jaime are parting ways, and Jaime tells Bolton, tell Robb Stark the Lannisters give their regard.
The Lannisters send their regards.
And you're like, what? And then later on, at the wedding, when fucking Bolton stabs him, and he's like,
The Lannisters send their regards.
The Lannisters give their regards. It's all set up. It's set up really well. Another aspect that's really interesting is post-Red Wedding, when you have Tyrion confronting Tywin about setting this whole thing up. And he's like, really, bro? Like, that's fucked up. You should not have done that. That was super uncool. And Tywin's like, the one or the many. It's like, isn't it kinder to kill off 12 people at a wedding than it is to have thousands of people die in these fucking crazy battles? And it's a really interesting philosophical debate.
Fight!
Number 5. Go.
Another one of my favorite things is the Tyrells this season. Oh my gosh. The Tyrells are so much more active in the show than they are in the books. There's a lot more about their points of view. Marjorie in particular is really awesome. She's super interesting. I love watching her come up politically, like manipulating Joffrey, like just doing it.
Could you kill something?
I don't know, Your Grace. Do you think I could?
Yes.
Would you like to watch me?
She's a babe!
I love it. I love watching Marjorie Tyrell. She's such a delight in the show. And also, her grandmother, the Lady Olenna, the Queen of Thorns, is so awesome. God, that scene with her and Tywin where they're talking about, the tete-a-tete of, like, your family's fucked up. And he's like, no, your family's fucked up, It's like, oh, Loras is gay. Oh, Jaime and Cersei are boning each other. I love it. I love it. And I love that Tywin has finally fucking met his match, like, Lady Olenna don't give a fuck. Also, the scene where she meets Tyrion for the first time.
The people are hungry for more than just food. They crave distractions. And if we don't provide them, they'll create their own. And their distractions are likely to end with us being torn to pieces. A royal wedding is much safer, wouldn't you say?
I would.
And traditionally paid for by the royal family.
And she just insults him right off the bat and then like handles him and Tyrion doesn't even know what hit him.
I was told you were drunk, impertinent, and thoroughly debauched. You can imagine my disappointment at finding nothing but a browbeaten bookkeeper.
Like, that was amazing. So yeah, I also enjoyed her scene with the spider. It was the Lady Olenna is a delight, as is Marjorie. I love the Tyrell women. More power to them. I can't wait to see them in season 4. So that's it for the biggest changes from the book to the show in Game of Thrones season 3. I hope you enjoyed it.